1. Story time. For some context, I'm a sales associate at a boutique that sells clutches, handbags, jewelry, sticky bras, long formal, prom dresses, homecoming dresses, semi-formal wear, jackets, cardigans, pants, and shoes. Our return policy. You have 30 days in-store credit or exchange only. No cash, no money back on your card. You have to have the original tag still attached, your receipt, and no signs of wear. Additionally, our long formal wear, clutches, jewelry, clearance, and sticky bras are final sale. I have had several customers be extremely rude about it. For example, in September I had a customer who came in and wanted to return a pair of shoes. I then asked her, "Would you like that in-store credit or exchange?" "I want my money back." "You don't do cash money back?" "That's ridiculous." "No, I'm sorry, ma'am." "Well, that's effing stupid. I'm furious." "The short Latina told me something different. Are you the manager?" "No, I'm not the manager. I'd be so embarrassed to work here if I were you. You guys aren't going to last long." "I'm sorry, but the manager is busy with the new hires in the back right now." "Oh, I'm not mad at you, but I'm furious right now." "I'm sorry about that." Cue a long silence. "Would you like the in-store credit then?" "Well, I don't want the shoes, so yeah, I guess so, but let me go take a look around." "Okay." Here's what really got me. The customer literally went up to a family in the store that were looking at the shoes and was like, "Don't buy anything from here. They don't give you cash or money back on your card." The customer then comes back to the desk and was like, "Am I all set?" "Yes, your balance on the gift card is going to be blah blah blah. Thank you and have a good day." At this point I had lost the customers who she had told not to buy the shoes. My manager then comes back out and was like, "What happened? Why didn't she want the shoes?" She was literally telling me her whole life story the other day. I then explained the whole story, and she had the look of, "What in the actual hell, that wasn't necessary of her," expression on her face the whole time. Well, I was changing the mannequins in the display window later on that night, and the family came back in and bought like 2 pairs of shoes, and in my head I was like, well, that's kind of funny. I'm glad they returned and bought stuff. The family probably thought the lady was a crazy person or something. I could rant more about other customers, but thanks for listening to my rant. 2. Today I was working at self-checkout. As does happen on some days, I am back and forth between working at the regular registers and the self-checkout registers. Near the end of my shift tonight, this older lady comes over to self-checkout, and it's within the very last half hour of the store being open for the night. And the last cashier on the registers was off his shift already, since he got off at 8 p.m. And it was around 8:30ish at this point. So the lady had to use the self-checkout like everybody else did, as I could not go hop on a register, as I was the only person up front by this point. Besides my manager who was in the front office, counting the money in the registers for the night. And I had to stay at self-checkout to keep an eye on things until we closed at 9 p.m. While I did offer to help this lady ring up her little amount of items at the self-checkout, seriously, she had 5 items, and everything went well and she completed her transaction with no problems at all. But then she decided to make a remark about why there was nobody on the regular registers. And I told her that I do not know why, I just work here. I do not make the schedules and such. And I also cannot open a register as I have to stay here at self-checkout until closing at 9 p.m. She then proceeded to say, "Well, since I had to ring up my own stuff, where's my employee discount? Where's my paycheck?" Well, I did not say anything and just shrugged my shoulders back at her. Then she claimed she was just joking. So, I just said, "Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day," which is what I say to all of the customers while they are leaving. So I really did not acknowledge her jokes. The thing is, though, I have no problems with jokes, I do not mind them usually, but the jokes about self-checkout are so old and overused. Those jokes have now become as old as the knock-knock jokes I am sure that everybody has heard back when they were kids. Self-checkout has been around for, 10, 15 years now? Even though some customers might not like using them, okay, fine, but they're not going anywhere. It is the year 2024, almost 2025. Sorry if this sounds kinda mean, I do apologize if it does. But some of these customers are stuck in the past and need to not be so afraid of technology. It is here to stay whether they like it or not. Yes, I will admit that the technology is not perfect. Computers and electronics can have their moments and act up, just like people and animals do. But technology is here to stay and is not going anywhere anytime soon. Sorry for the long post, everybody. It's just another crazy day in the neighborhood, in the life of retail. Have a good night. Enjoy the calm before the big holidays coming up soon. 3. Up until about 2 years ago, I worked as a plainclothes security officer at my local Walmart. A job like this teaches you something very quickly. That lesson being that there is no such thing as generational entitlement. Seeing how my job consisted of catching shoplifters 95% of the time, I can tell you from experience it came from all ages. It's the damnedest thing, really. 9 times out of 10, the most unassuming person turns out to be the one you should have been watching at the time. When I explain the events that took place, fairly recently I might add, you'll understand why I'm saying this. Even though I haven't worked for this Walmart for a little while now, it's still my main source of groceries and shopping. I'm friends with a few of my old co-workers, and they are still currently employed at this location, so as long as they're not busy, I like to check in on them from time to time and see how things are going. Due to the chaos that usually goes with Black Friday here in the States, Walmart decided to try something a little different in order to mitigate it a couple of years back. Basically, what they do now is host the Black Friday specials throughout the entire month of November. This allows them to put certain items out in hopes that nobody gets knocked out over, let's say, a Tickle Me Elmo. Elmo says, ow! This helps to cut back on the chaos as well. Believe me, I noticed it during my last year working security. It really isn't a bad idea, and there's plenty left over, a good portion of the time. It's not a perfect system, don't get me wrong, but it's a hell of a lot stressful for people in my position at the time, as well as other employees. I'm getting ready to host Thanksgiving this year. I'm not expecting anything big, just my sister and her kids joining up with my sons and I. I don't have a lot of shopping to do, and I'm not going to lie, I did take advantage of a couple of the Black Friday specials my location was offering. I needed a couple of Christmas presents for my nephews and my sister. 2 birds, 1 stone and all. I'm talking to a friend of mine that recently got promoted to a management position, and as I'm congratulating her, we both hear this commotion. Even though I am no longer employed by the company, it was almost like instinct when I went over to see what the fuss was about, and when I get to the center aisle by the home lines portion of the store, I see a woman who could have quite easily been in her early 70s, absolutely losing it on this girl who couldn't have been any older than college-aged. It seems this older woman thinks this college-aged girl stole, get this, a Drew Barrymore-branded crockpot out of her cart. I am listening as the younger woman is trying to reassure this person that she grabbed it off the shelf just beyond the towel displays. I look over her shoulder. Sure enough, there's still roughly 10 of them just sitting there. I try to de-escalate the situation out of habit, but the old woman isn't having it. Without warning, I watch as she hawks a loogie in the face of the younger woman and proceeds to open-hand slap her as hard as possible. As this poor girl is standing there rubbing her face, she starts getting berated by the salty old sea witch. She's going on about how her generation is so entitled. Starts going on about how she needs to learn some manners, and how she was going to be the one to teach them to her. This woman then proceeds to reach into her purse and pull out a can of pepper spray. Before the situation can devolve any further, I threw myself between the two of them, while the store manager got the new security guy to de-escalate this absolute crap show a little further. The woman proceeds to yell in my face, pretty much the same rhetoric she was screaming at the poor young girl, and I finally lost it. I look her dead in the eyes and tell her flat out respect is earned, not just given freely, and how the store manager would more than likely have her taken out in cuffs due to the fact she just assaulted somebody over a subpar tiny freaking crockpot. And then I pointed out that all she would have had to have done was walk 50 feet and grab another one off the shelf. Her response, "I wanted a red one. Those are all white." I raise an eyebrow, looked her dead in the face, and I call her on her BS. This poor girl wasn't anywhere near your cart, was she? I watch as the woman goes red in the face. She tries to walk away from me, and I let out a rather noticeable bup, bup, bup. "You're not going anywhere, lady." The security personnel shows up, and we all take turns explaining what happened. He proceeds to walk the woman to the security room in order to call the police because, yes, she had assaulted somebody in the store, and no matter the person's age, save for a toddler throwing a tantrum, there's a certain protocol that needs following. Even as an ex-employee, I understood that. I offered to be a witness to the whole scenario, but the manager told me it wouldn't be necessary. I was getting ready to walk away until I looked at the young woman one more time, and I noticed that slap was already starting to become a bruise. As it turns out, the woman was wearing an incredibly gaudy, thick metal bracelet, and that's what managed to catch her face more than anything. I asked her if she wants me to stick around, and she just nods yes. And so we wait. I don't think any more than 10 minutes went by when 2 police officers showed up, and I go into the security room with the young woman and the 2 police officers. We're all watching as the footage gets rolled back. The young woman had that crockpot in her cart the whole time. She turned around to check out some evening wear, and this is when the old woman swooped in. She was the one who actually grabbed this crockpot out of the woman's cart while her back was turned. She just happened to turn around in the middle of the act, and it appeared she called the woman out. The 2 of them exchange in a yank fest, so to speak, and this is where the footage picked up the manager and myself arriving and attempting to break everything up. In damn near 4K footage, we got the perfect shot of the older woman spitting in the younger woman's face and slapping the taste out of her mouth. We even got her reaching into her purse. This old lady realized she was dead to rights by the look on her face. This is when she starts to do what practically every person that gets dragged into that little room starts to do. She begs for mercy. She starts telling us she forgot to take her medication, saying she was confused. Starts playing the old age card. Funny, she wasn't confused when she reached into her purse for that pepper spray. She certainly wasn't confused when she slapped that poor 20-something in the face over a crockpot that's barely big enough for spinach dip, let alone a meal. And she sure as hell wasn't confused when she basically committed assault with a hazardous body fluid. Before I could say anything, it's like the security guard read my mind. He tells the woman, "Nice try." Her attitude shifts back to angry, and she starts screaming racism, profiling, whatever she can, to make it seem as if she's the victim in this situation. She even threatened to sue the store. Good luck with that. The manager and the security guard thanked me for my time, told me to have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and I went about my way. I let them know that if this woman was brought up on charges, I would have no problem showing up in court as a key witness if need be. It wouldn't be that hard to get in contact with me, considering the manager is my friend and she's had my phone number for years. But yeah, it's almost as if Black Friday brings out the worst in people, even if it's not confined to one single solitary day. People need to drop the whole generational shaming BS. Again, I have worked in retail in one way, shape, or form, and I can tell you it's the most soul-crushing job I've ever worked. No matter the generation, gender identity, race, whatever, anybody can be an a-hole, and this woman was one with a capital A. Be safe out there, folks. If my gut is anything to go by, I have a feeling we're going to be experiencing one crazy holiday season this year. Be vigilant. Don't let the clown shoes step on your feet. 4. So I'm 18 and female. I work at a retail store in the mall, and yesterday I had an encounter with a customer that I'm still kind of shocked by. It was one of those situations where I had to share it because honestly, I don't even know how people like this exist. A woman, probably in her early 30s, comes up to the counter with a few items, pretty standard. She is dressed head to toe in designer clothes, carrying one of those huge bags that screams, "I'm rich!" The second she gets to the counter, she gives me the most condescending look. "Hey, how's your day going? I don't need small talk. Just ring up my items." Okay, fine, no problem. I ring everything up, and the total comes to $112.47. I tell her total. "Excuse me, that can't be right. I've been shopping here for years, and I always spend a ton of money here. I deserve a discount." I'm standing there kind of taken aback because as much as I'm trying to be polite, I know there's no loyalty discount or anything like that. The store doesn't do that. But I try to keep it professional. "I'm really sorry, but unfortunately we don't have a loyalty program that offers discounts like that. We do have a sale going, though, and I've already applied that discount to your items." She just glares at me like I've personally offended her. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm a VIP customer here. I'm a regular. I spend a lot of money. I should get a better discount. You need to do something about this." At this point, I'm just trying to keep my cool because honestly, I know where this is going. I really wish I could help more, but I can't offer a bigger discount unless there's a promotion running. That's just the policy. She huffs and leans over the counter to get even closer to me. "I'm telling you, I know you can override the system. Just give me the discount. I deserve it, okay?" I'm not dealing with this, but I stay calm. I can't break store policy, and I'm just trying to get through this conversation without making it worse. I really can't override the system, but I can ask my manager to check if you'd like. She sneers at me. "Fine. Get your manager. Maybe they'll have some common sense." I call my manager over, and she comes over all calm and professional, ready to handle the situation. Karen immediately jumps into her complaint. "This girl is refusing to give me a discount. I've been shopping here since the store opened, and I spend so much money. You need to do something about this." The manager looks at me, then gives a quick glance at the total and just sighs. She knows exactly what's going on. "I'm sorry, but as my employee mentioned, there's no extra discount unless it's a promotion. We really value our customers, but we have to stick to store policy." You've got to be kidding me. You're going to lose business by treating loyal customers like this. I'll never shop here again, and I'll tell all my friends about how terrible your store is. And with that, she grabs all her belongings off the counter, then literally storms out the door without buying anything. All that drama, and she didn't even buy the stuff she came in for. I don't know if I should be relieved or frustrated. I just can't believe how entitled some people are. She honestly thought that demanding a discount and threatening bad reviews would get her special treatment. Like, calm the hell down. 5. So I used to be a manager for a fairly large CD and DVD store back in 2010, or so, that was right next to an anchor store. For those who do not work in malls, the anchor stores are the very large stores at the ends, and sometimes the middle of malls. Think Racy's, Nordstrom's, Delk, sometimes Barget, etc. Our store took up the same amount of space of about 3 or 4 smaller stores in the mall, and had an entirely glass front minus 2 large open doors that had the slide-down grates for closing. The glass front gave us a perfect view of what was going on in the mall when it was slow, as it was on this particular Sunday evening about 30 minutes before close. I generally set myself up at the front of the store, sorting new product on a cart, looking outward into the mall, so I could greet anyone who came inside. My employees were finishing up closing duties so we could close registers and get out the door as fast as possible. Now, this particular mall had the usual security guards who tended to be the guys who fell into 2 categories. A, the young guys, who really wanted to be cops but probably failed due to psych evals, and were a little bit too excited to catch shoplifters, and B, the older guys who probably used to be cops and just wanted everything to be safe for everyone. And on weekends, we had a few cops that patrolled the mall. As employees, we did occasionally need to call security, and had good relationships with the security teams, as well as the loss prevention team at the anchor store right next to us, which I shall call Delk. We also used to think that the cops that pulled the mall patrol detail were probably bad at their jobs. How silly we were. As I was sorting CDs and hoping for a fast exit that night, all of a sudden, I saw a woman with a stroller racing out of Delk just as fast as she could go. Quickly in pursuit was one of the cops, and Bob, one of our favorite loss prevention guys from the Delk team. Before I could even yell back for my employees to see the show, the following occurred. The cop made a flying tackle on the woman, landed on her back and slid with her almost 10 feet across the nicely waxed tiles, while the stroller went flying, and had both hands behind her back and handcuffed before the two of them slid to a stop. The stroller, before you worry, crashed and spilled its contents, not of a baby, but of probably a few $1,000s worth of prom dresses and jewelry, also sliding out all over the nicely waxed tiles. Bob skidded to a stop by the stroller and began collecting the items, and apparently sorting through the items to determine which ones were owned by Delk, and which were the property of other stores she had been stealing from, so they could be returned. And one of the young mall security guards strolled up from the other direction, saluted me, and said, "It's okay, we've got it taken care of." Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 216. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and do support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Okay, no other business, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is there anything you've always wanted to buy, but never have because you're kind of afraid of it? I'm thinking of this because as the weather gets a little colder, I've been thinking maybe an electric blanket would be a good idea, because my feet take the longest to heat up at night, so I usually try to make sure my feet are nice and toasty before I get into bed. Otherwise, it takes me ages to get to sleep. But I'm old enough to remember stories of electric blankets going on fire. Maybe through improper use, maybe through poor craftsmanship, or maybe it was just an urban myth. I don't know, but I do remember those stories, so that's always been in my mind whenever I see them. Maybe they're safer these days, but it could be worth looking into again. But let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. And today's answer comes from Fast Food and Retail 215, and it was... I think it was if you could replace a holiday. I think was that it? Today's answer comes from Grey Warden Invasion. Definitely Halloween. Ooh, controversial. It's not even part of our culture and was just commercially forced upon us. I would replace it with the holiday and the event that it was before, Reformation Day for the Protestants and World Savings Day. I have far more fond childhood memories of World Savings Day and the variety of little gifts that each bank offered when I had even kind of okay experiences with Halloween. Thank you very much for your answer, Grey Warden. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.